What's good, YouTube? It's your boy K Flex. I'm back here with another video, and we took another L against the Philadelphia Eagles. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we will never beat the fraud accusations, but I have a lot of things to say in this video, so let's get into it. First and foremost, this game was pretty close, closer than even the score appears, and we actually should have won the game. Now, this was one of the most one-sided officiating games. I don't really ever make excuses with the refs because nobody really cares, but to be quite honest with you, this was one of the worst officiated games I've ever watched. The Eagles got called for a total of 0 penalties. If you watch the game, you know damn well there was committing penalties, okay? There was one penalty that I can recall off the top of my head where Jordan Davis was called for a penalty, but it was offset because Austin Jackson hit him back and he fell. So that was the only penalty I can remember, but other than that, it was called for 0 penalties. There's multiple clips of them holding, multiple clips of them face masking. They were called for 0 penalties the whole entire game. So this is why I'm not even that angry, because, you know, in my opinion, I was looking at this game as one to tell if we were frauds or not. And at this point, I think I guess the verdict is still out. I don't think we're frauds, but I guess the verdict is still out. We haven't beat a good team all year, in full transparency. Well, I mean, the Chargers are okay, but we haven't really beat like a really good team that people could say, you know, for sure this team has arrived. And we haven't played anybody that great besides the Eagles and the Bills. We lost to both of them now. And now we'll have the Chiefs in a few weeks, right? Or, yeah, a few weeks to figure out, you know, if we can beat them. But we're going to start off on this game now. Again, I'm not angry at the result necessarily because the Bills end up losing, so we are in really good position to still make the playoffs. And then also because the way in which we lost was so much bullshit. It was nothing we really could do about how we lost. Now, we have multiple injuries. We have about like 10 starters out. I mean, we have 3 starters on defense out. We have multiple starters on the offensive line out. We have Jalen Wilder going in and out with an injury. And yet we still fight to a point where, I mean, it was 3-17 at first. It looked like we were getting our ass whooped, and then we still fought back. But at a point, you can't overcome the Eagles, who are already good as it is, and the refs, right? So we're fighting both the Eagles and the refs at this point. And again, I don't like making this excuse, but if you look at the stats, right? We go to the stats here, or can we go to the stats? I was able to see it on my phone. Let me try to refresh real quick. I can't see the stats right now, but ladies and gentlemen, it was 10 penalties to 0 on the Eagles. The Eagles didn't not get a single penalty the whole game. Bro, they grabbed our receiver's face mask and on a catch, and they didn't call it. There was multiple holdings they did not call. There was an awful, just the worst. It was a terrible roughing the passer call where Christian Wilkins just pushed Jalen Hurts, didn't even extend his arms, didn't drive any force, just pushed Jalen Hurts after he threw the ball. Jalen Hurts fucking falls down on the ground like he just got shot, and they call roughing the passer, and then they proceed to score on that drive. So that was one touchdown that the refs handed them. And then you look at the rest of the calls or the lack of calls. Because I ain't gonna lie, the Dolphins were committing penalties. So I ain't gonna even say that the penalties that the Dolphins were called for were just absolutely just horrendous. Some of them were like the roughing the passer, but not all of them were horrendous. It was the fact that the Eagles wasn't getting called for anything, not a whole, not nothing. And you can look at multiple clips, multiple pictures on social media, on YouTube, I'm sure. Bro, they were committing penalties. So that's like the main thing that I'm like low-key like concerned about. It was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what we outplayed them, in my opinion, by a fair margin, and they just were not getting called for anything, and we were getting called for everything. Like, even on a screen pass, we got called. Julian Hill got called for a hold that was like hardly even a hold. It wasn't really a hold, but I could see. Like, I mean, it was a bit of a hold. I mean, let's just get it clear. There's holding on every block, but so it was like nothing abnormal, like an abnormal amount of a hold, and they called a hold on it, and that stalled out that drive. So it was just like, I don't understand what the refs were on today, but they lost us. I mean, I can't even be that angry. Now, we did make mistakes. Now, the key mistakes we made this game, I would say, was the Tua interception on the most throw. He underthrew a pass. It was in double coverage. Those are one of those passes where Mostert probably jumps into the cornerback. They probably do call the pass interference, but the way the refs were officiating that game, they probably wouldn't have called it. But like on that play, I would have liked to see Mostert jump into Tua, but I think he was. I mean, jump into the pass, but I think he was kind of running forward. So it was kind of hard to like shift your body weight and like, just jump back. But if he was able to jump back into the cornerback, I think they would have, or the linebacker that was actually guarding him, they would have caught that pass interference. But anyway, yeah, Tua was just a bad throw, a bad decision. And then the Tyreek Hill drop that should have been a touchdown, which really didn't affect much because Jalen Hurts ended up throwing a pick six the next drive anyways. So it didn't really affect that much, but that was a mistake. And then I think Tyreek had another drop on the next possession. And that's just so uncharacteristic of him. So I wasn't really that angry about that. But regardless of that, we still had a chance to win. And then in the fourth quarter, the Eagles bring out the tush push play, right? Which they had ran a couple times previous, but it wasn't really to the extent that they did when it was time for them to just drain the clock. They bring out the tush push play. That play is unstoppable. I've been hating that play ever since it was invented. Ever since I first saw it in the Super Bowl, I've hated the play. I was hoping it got banned in the offseason. It never did. I thought I thought it took no skill, but it turns out it kind of does take skill because only the Eagles can really run it. I've seen the other team try to run it and it not work. So I'm like, well, maybe it does take a bit of skill. The way the Eagles run it is weird, though. There needs to be some type of investigation on that because I don't know how it works for them every single time. Maybe it's just Jalen Hurts' power or the way he's built. I don't know, but I mean, we played well. I mean, again, and once they bring out that touch push play, I mean, there's nothing you can do there. I mean, we're down one score. There was no way they were going to stop our offense again. There was no way, right? Because even when Tua had threw that pick, I mean, we were moving the ball. So I knew at that point we were moving the ball. Everything was settled in. They wasn't going to stop us. So all we had to do was get the ball back. But the issue was we couldn't really get the ball back because we had these fucking idiots doing the tush push play, which is just the most unstoppable play in the whole league. I mean, as an NFL coach and as like an NFL player, you're so conditioned to stop them short of the chain. So you know where the chains are, and you try to rally and make that tackle on third down. With the Eagles, you kind of have to change that you have to change that mentality because you damn near have to tackle them 2 yards before the chains, which is like nobody's adjusted to doing that. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to do to kind of map out and say, hey, we need to guard 6 yards instead of 8 yards. If it's 3rd and 8, you can't just tackle them 7 yards. You can't just guard 7 yards. You have to guard like 6 or 5 because the reality of the situation is if the Eagles get to 4th and 1, there is nothing you can do to stop it. So the last drive, we were making great plays. We'd rally, we'd make the tackle, and in situations where a regular team with a regular scheme and that didn't have the most bullshit play in the world would have to punt the ball or take a risk on the 4th down, the Eagles were just simply able to catch maybe a curl, a little flat route, take it to within 1 yard, and essentially it was like they got a 1st down because this play's unstoppable. Essentially like the Eagles are starting every single possession on 1st and 9. I mean, or every change of downs is 1st and 9 for them. There's no 1st and 10 because the 4th down, and the reality of it is if they get within 1 yard of the 1st down line, there's nothing any team can do to stop it that I've seen so far. And it's not like that for every team because I've seen many teams get stopped, but I've watched a fair amount of Eagles games. I've never seen a team stop it yet, okay? I've seen it look kind of close, but I have never, quite frankly, seen a team actually stop it. And most of the time, it's not even enough, conclusive evidence, or if the ref marks that they have it, which most of the time they are going to do, there's no way they're going to be able to prove that he didn't get it, So that play is ridiculous. And once they started doing that in the 4th quarter, I knew it was over. I really started tuning out after that. Once they scored, it went up 31-17 at that point. I started tuning out, and then at that point, I realized that we got stopped, I think, again, but I really didn't care, honestly. Like, I know Swift had a long run at the end, but I didn't care, but I stopped watching because I was just like, it was over at that point, and I had seen enough. But with that being said, the Dolphins played pretty well and was able to compete with all the injuries we had. Tua wasn't out there getting killed. Jordan Davis wasn't out there destroying us. The D-line was out there destroying us. They still couldn't guard Tyreek. They couldn't guard Wild. I mean, we played just our game. I mean, they did stop the run. We even found ways to run the ball in the second half, like towards the outside. We couldn't run up the middle, but we had injuries. And plus, the Philadelphia Eagles have a really good interior line. But, I mean, shit, we played good. I mean, I can't necessarily be angry because we should have won, okay? Because I think we outplayed them. It's just the fact that the refs, when you're dealing with that tush push, that weirdo tush push play, and then you're dealing with the refs at the same time, and you're dealing with injuries to like 10 starters, brother, you're in bad shape. I mean, we were just in bad shape at that point. You know what I'm saying? That's I mean, it's hard for anybody to deal with that, and then to only still be down one possession in the fourth quarter with a chance to get a stop, and we had a chance to get a stop and tie the game up, but they bring out the tush push play. I mean, how can I be angry with all that going against us to try to even have that chance to win in a game we should have won? I mean, it was a good game, but the only issue I think with the whole thing and the kind of the big storyline is that, you know, we just still haven't beat a good team, right? So even though I can say whatever I want to about, you know, why it happened, and this was definitely not like the Bills lost level of trash, because the Bills, like, they actually like outplayed us, dominated us in every phase. This game, I don't feel that way. I feel like it was bullshit. But the big difference between this game and but the thing is, we still haven't beat a team, right? That's what I'm trying to say. The thing is, we still haven't beat a good team, right? I think before this week started, the teams that we had beat were a combined 5-24. I don't know like who won that we beat. You know, I know the Denver Broncos, I believe, won. So obviously the record kind of changes now, but we haven't beat a good team, right? A team with a winning record, and we still haven't. So I can say whatever I want to about the refs and all this, but we still haven't, right? So we got a chance to get to the Chiefs, but at the end of the day, we just got to beat who's in front of us, hopefully make the playoffs, hopefully get home field advantage so we can hopefully get some ref assistance, and then win our other games. Okay, anyways, it's getting late. I got to go to work tomorrow. Like, comment, subscribe, what the 11 kids, working, flexing. Out.